Hi, I'm Allie. Join me as I show you how to create this Glacier bracelet. It is using 2 rows of right angle weave with some pearls, crystals, and little seed beads. If you want this kit or you want to check out the supplies, go ahead and look below the video in the description of the video. Hit that little show more button. That'll drop down some links for you that you can get all the supplies listed and everything back on our site. Gather up your supplies and let's get started. All right, so I'm gonna show you how we do our base layer. We're gonna be doing the base layer as 2 rows of right angle weave, and then we decorate the top here in that V section. There's so many different options that you can do to decorate and have the pattern of the top, and I'm just gonna show you an option. You're gonna want size 6 or 8 of your dragon thread in the white color, and because we're not using super tiny beads that we're going through a lot, I have a size 10 needle on here. 10, 11, 12, anything really will work. We are going to begin with a series of 4 of our 6mm pearls, which are going to have an 11 seed bead between them. I also picked up an 11 seed bead first, and then followed by a 6mm pearl, 11 and again we're repeating that 4 times. Once you have those 4 beads on with an 11 seed bead before each, you're going to drop it down to the base of your thread. Now I'm not leaving a ton of extra thread down here to put on my clasp because this bracelet we do go up and back a fair amount of times, so we don't need a lot at the end here. We're going to tie this into a knot, and this will become our first right angle weave unit. The right angle weave units, if you've never done them before, are groups of 4 generally, and you're creating the right angle weave because you're creating a square shape. We are going to go back through bead number 1, including the 11 back through bead number 2, including that 11 back through bead number 3, including the 11 before it, and out. Once you're out through that 3rd pearl, you are going to add another right angle weave unit. That right angle weave unit is going to consist of 3 more pearls, which are separated again by the 11 seed beads. The 11 seed beads are going to be before and after the pearls because we're going to connect to the one that's already there. So we have on 4 seed beads and 3 pearls. We're coming out of the right side of our right angle unit with our thread coming out the top, and we're going to go into the bottom of the pearl after putting on the 3 new pearls as well as those 4 seed beads. Nice and tight pull there. And then we're going to travel from the side here on the right all the way over to the next right side, going through the top seed bead and bead and going down through the next seed bead and bead. You're always going to be coming out the right side of your right angle weave. Your thread will switch positions whether or not it's coming out the top and the bottom. You should always see 2 seed beads right near that center bead. Continuing on, adding another row of your right angle weave, you're going to have 3 of your pearls that are going to be separated out again by 4 total seed beads. There is seed beads between them and there's seed beads before and after. From here, my thread is coming out the bottom. I'm going to go into the top of that same bead that my thread is coming out of, and then I'm going to continue over till I come out through the right-hand side. Once I'm out the right-hand side of that square that I just completed, that's where we go in and add 3 more again. This simple pattern gets your whole right angle weave base, and you're going to do this as long as you need to fit around your wrist. By the time we add the clasp, that'll give a little bit of extra space for you to take the bracelet on and off. Continue with this straight row of right angle weave to the length of your wrist.
Imagine 3 stunning jewelry kits delivered free to your door each month. At up to 60% off what you'd pay buying them one by one. Inside each box, you'll find 3 curated kits, necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. You get everything you need: premium beads, wire, clasps, and full step-by-step instructions. And as a new subscriber, we're giving you an extra $10 off per month. That's the same as buying the necklace and getting 2 kits for free. Get a fresh burst of creativity every month and build a jewelry collection you'll be proud of. Subscribe now at PotomacBeads.com/subscribe. Together we create.
Once you've completed one row of that right angle weave to your desired length here, you're going to do a secondary row of this. So the secondary row of right angle weave here is going to connect to your primary row. This primary row, you're coming out the end of it like you're getting ready to put on your next grouping. And instead what you're going to do is continue your thread and needle so that it's coming out the bottom of that right angle weave. I'm going to flip this project just so I'm working from the left towards the right because it's easier to hold on to. And coming out the bottom there, you're going to basically repeat what you've been doing, adding on an 11 and then 3 pearls with the 11s between as well as before and after. Once you have those beads on, we're going to take our needle and thread and we are going to go back through the bead that our thread is coming out of. So just like we've been doing, we're going into the opposite side. We're going to pull those 3 new pearls right along the base there, and you can see that adds that second row. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to build the second row below the first row. Go through the next 11-0 and the next pearl. And now once again, we're coming out the right-hand side of our right angle weave unit. Now we need to add more beads to continue the right angle weave unit. We're going to add a bead for the bottom and we're going to add a bead for the right. We're then going to connect to the bead that's already there for it to be the top of our project. So we're going to add an 11-0, then we add our pearl, another 11-0, another pearl, another 11-0, and then what you're going to do is sew into that bead that is the bottom of the right angle row before, which is now going to be the top of the new right angle row. Once you're out through that bead, you're going to add an 11-0 seed bead and sew down through that center or that left-hand bead. That closes up and adds your second unit. You should always have a little connection there of 4 beads in the interior that are going to be seed beads connecting the right angle units. From here, again, I always want to get over to the right side. So I'm going to go through the bottom 11-0 and the pearl. I'm going to go through the 11-0 and the pearl that sit on the right and come out on the right-hand side. From here, coming out towards the middle, I add an 11-0 seed bead. I sew through the bead that was the bottom of the right angle weave row 1, which is now going to be the top of the right angle weave row 2. Add an 11-0 seed bead, as well as your pearl, 11-0 seed bead, another pearl, another 11-0 seed bead, because we need 4 total in our right angle unit. And then I'm going to go back through what was the right side of my last right angle unit, which becomes the left of the new one. Nice tight pull, and once again, that completes another right angle weave. I'm going to go through the 11, through the pearl, down through the 11, and exit through the pearl that's on the right side of that right angle unit. We're going to continue on, always adding 2 more pearls to connect to a new right angle unit. And as I add them, I'm making sure that I add 11-0 seed beads before and after. You're either starting out at the top and going through the top bead like we just did, or the bottom and then going into that top bead here at the top. And then we're going to add an 11-0 seed bead, and we're going to come down through that rightmost bead, which is now the left bead of our right angle unit. Continue on till you have the whole bottom row completed and have those 2 layers of your right angle weave. Again, here at the top, before you connect, make sure you're always adding that 11-0 seed bead and then going into the top, where if you're coming out of that, adding the 11 before you go back in. Because these are size 6-0 seed beads, it's really nice, or size 6 beads rather, it's really nice because it moves pretty quickly building that base. We are going to be embellishing the base with some 15-0 seed beads as well as crystals, but you can also just have a nice open base if you want to, or use this idea to help you create a matching pair of earrings or even a colored necklace. Coming out again, that right angle weave, I'll go in and continue adding that second layer. Once you're at the end of the design here, we're gonna add our clasp quick, or at least one side of it. I'm using a 3-strand clasp. You can use a button, you can use a single strand clasp. I like the width of the 3-strand for this double version of the right angle weave. We're coming out the end here, and I'm gonna pick up one of my 15-0s, 2 of my 15-0s, and then 1 of my 11-0 seed beads. I'm gonna sew into the bottom ring of the clasp here, and I'm gonna sew back through the 11-0 and the 15-0s on the side. Now that connects one of our sides, and because it is a heavier bracelet, we're going to make sure that we have multiple strands going through. We're going to go through the center pearl here. Coming out the center pearl, or towards the center of this pearl, we're going to do 1 and 2 11-0s followed by, 1 and 2 15-0s followed by an 11. Just like we did on the end. We're going to go through that center clasp again. I usually go from the bottom towards the top. That's just my preference. We're going to share and go back down through that same 11-0 bead that our thread was coming out of, but this time because it's the center one, we want it to sit balanced. You're going to grab 1 and 2 15-0s more and then go through the next pearl. When I pull this, you'll see that that creates a little almost V section in there with those 15s. Coming out the edge here, go ahead and grab 1 and 2 15s along with 1 more 11-0 seed bead and connect on to that final third loop. Now, you want to make sure as you're doing this to keep in mind that when you are coming back down and doing the second side of your clasp, you want to make sure that your clasp and the tongue of the clasp sit in the correct direction. So that's just an early warning here. From here, I'm going to go back through the pearl. One more time. When I'm in the center, I'm going to reinforce going back up through those beads that I just added. Back up through the 11, through the clasp, back down through that same 11, through the 15-0s on the opposite side. And I'm going to go up and down doing this 2 times, so that way my clasp is nice and connected on the edge, and I'm not worried about anything falling off whatsoever. So I've gone up once, the holes number 2, 1 and number 2 now have 2 threads going through them. I'm going to work my way down. The center hole will have a third one going through, and we'll get a second one on the left or the top as well. Once you're done reinforcing this side of your clasp, we're going to go in and we'll get ready to decorate the top with our V design of 15-0s, 11-0s, and our crystal bicones. Now that we have the base done and the start there of the clasp one side, we are going to start our center decoration. We have 1 of our 15-0s on our needle along with 2 11s, followed by another 15, a crystal bicone. I'm using a 3, you can use a 2, a 3, or a 4. Another 15, 11, 15 combo. So 2 for the first one and 1 for the second of the 11s. I'm going to go into the middle bead that sits between the 2 rows of right angle weave and sew towards the clasp. That's going to get me that left side of the V. I'm going to go from there towards the left side through the 11, through the pearl that's there, down through the 11, that's after the pearl, and out through the pearl. We're going to go all the way down doing one side, and then we're going to come back and do the other side. So from here, coming out the pearl, we're going to repeat 1 15, 2 11s, 1 15, crystal, 15, 11, 15. Once I have those on, I'm going to the middle pearl, and I'm sewing up the middle pearl and out. And that gets our next line. Through the 11 after the pearl, through the next pearl at the top, through the 11 after that pearl, and then as well down through the pearl on the side. Once I'm at the pearl on the side, I'm going to continue doing that center line. So as I do that center line and get those seed beads in place, You can see that we're going to go down through one side, and then when we come back, we get to do the opposite side. So keep going in, doing those diagonal lines towards the middle of the purl line. As you're coming out the bottom and you have your last one of your V's there, what you're going to want to do is come over to the right through the 11-0 C bead like we've been doing. I know it's a little hard because it's all crystal. Through the purl, when I turn over to the back there, you'll see it a little bit better. We're going to go down through the 11-0, out through the purl, and we're going to connect the clasp to the opposite side. So when I go in the clasp for the opposite side, I like to keep it connected just so, again, I make sure I'm not making an error. 2 15s, 1 11 into the clasp, back through the 11 and the 15s, nice tight pull, over through the 11-0 and out through the purl. Coming out there, 1 and 2 15s, 1 11 through the center loop. You can see it's pulling there. I'm not worrying about that too much. I'm going to go down through the 11, and then here's where in the interior we've gone in and added 2 more 15s. Then we hop over to the next purl, next 11, come on out there, add in our 15, 2 15s, 1 11 through the clasp, nice tight pull, back down through the 11s, down through the 15s, and over to the opposite side to reinforce that clasp. Through the middle here, reinforcing, going up through. I'm going to do a nice tight pull there, getting all those strands in, through the 15s, through the 11, back through the clasp. So I'm reinforcing, and then once I'm done reinforcing, we'll go in and we'll get ready to add our second section of our V on our second side of our right angle weave. So again, we're reinforcing, going up through the clasps, making sure we're going around the loop, and then after we come out through the loop, back down through the 11, the 15s, making sure that thread doesn't go around the clasp, which sometimes it will. Nice tight pull, back through the crystal. And then where we want to be in position to go in and do that same V section, is we want to be coming out of the purl. Because this time what we're going to do instead is come out of the purl and we're going to go into the side. So we're almost acting the opposite of what we did. So go ahead and reinforce your clasp. We'll come back through here and we'll get ready right near that center purl. Now here's where we're going the opposite. I'm coming out through that right angle weave, and I'm coming out right before the purl. I'm not actually coming out the purl, but we will on the next one. I'm going to jump over to the purl that sits up diagonal 1 row. You can look over where you need to go, and you're going to go through that purl after adding your seed bead combo, and you get that diagonal. Now we're going to go through the 11, through the purl that's after, and we're going to work our way down back to the middle. Once we're coming out that middle, again, just your series of your 2 11s with a 15 on either side, and then your crystal, and then your 15, 11, 15. Coming out from the center, we jump up to the right hand side, go through that purl. Once we're through that purl, we follow our right angle weave along the side here, going through the 11, through the purl. So the opposite basically of what we were doing. This one is a little bit nicer when you're coming down because then you can actually see a little bit more. Going down through the 11, down through the purl, and now from the purl we're going to go back up and connect to that upper purl. We just continue that the whole way till we get to the end. We have all those V's in. We're going to tie off our thread. Simple, simple. And then as you're going back up, just to reiterate, because I forgot to do this on the first 2 and then realized, oh no, when you're coming back up, you're going to have the opposite pattern. So when you're coming back up here and you're doing your design and you have that opposite pattern going on, you're going to want to make sure that you switch what you are doing because you're coming out of the base here. So it's 15, 11, 15, your crystal, 15, 2 11s, and then the 15. So as I go around here and I get ready to come out through the middle and do the next one, here you're going to make sure that as you come down through that middle, that you're doing, again, that opposites, that you're doing the one seed bead first, and then your crystal, and then your 2 11s second, because we want it to mirror on both sides as you're doing it. So up it goes. Oop, jumping ahead here. Up it goes as we go from one side to the other, and we're continuing to get that pretty V with all the crystals inside. It can be hard to see because it is crystal and silver, but you can see the fun effect that it gets as you continue to go, and it gets really, really glamorous on the wrist. As you're coming to the final bead in the center, you're going to put on your seed beads, and then you're going to connect to the 11-0 seed bead that sits on the outer edge. We're mimicking the start here, and I'm also going to use this opportunity to reinforce that last loop of my clasp, and there's already plenty of strands going through that loop of the clasp here. We've reinforced it already, but I'm going to come back down then that area because I can, and then once I'm down that area here, I'm going to bring my threads towards the back of the project, take that original thread end and then also my new thread end, tie those two together with a nice square knot. And then for my final act here, I'm going to have you guys go in and burn the ends of your thread down to complete your bracelet. There are so many varieties that can be done here when it comes to color, when it comes to look. This really is one of those bracelets that's an open palette for you to make and design however you want it. Once you learn that right angle weave and that 2 rows of the right angle weave, you really can have fun decorating and getting involved in the embellishment of that design. Thanks so much for joining me in creating this Glacier bracelet. Remember, there's so many different varieties that you can do. So you can grab the kit, learn how to make it, and then branch off on your own. If you do want the kit or the supplies, go ahead and look below the video. In the description, there's links there that can get you back to our website. If you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.